My friends, thanks for joining me. Today I get out of my comfort zone and I derail completely from my usual kind of format for this vlog. I want to talk about a topic that is really annoying somehow. The fact that everybody is really focused on self-development. And it's one of the principles of growing. You need to invest in your own skills. But I really enjoyed the video from Jimmy. I will show you some what's the title and it's James Janey. He's talking about the toxic work of self-help, hustle culture, toxic positivity, addiction, and fake guru. I'm not going to use somebody else content on my video. It's just explain, and I like it the fact to pay credit to him for the amazing video that he did, but also to use the same kind of percentage on what's the business around it. So we are talking about an industry of 13.6 billion. It's unbelievable how much money we are talking about. So what's the problem? We have new tools like YouTube. We feel like we are in a big supermarket with our trolley and we order books, we look at videos, but most of the time the content is served through an algorithm. And so is it actually you that look for the content or is the content that pop up on you? That is a completely different kind of approach. I've been interested in topic that now are quite trendy, and it's a bit funny because with the fact that I spent a lot of time 10 years ago to read about it, meditation, traveling, digital nomad kind of life wasn't even a trend back then. And right now I look at all these content, recycle over and over and over. And so as an individual, you think to be actually an independent brain, but we all get them broadcasted all the same stuff. And I did notice, even in my own purchases, I read around 3 books a month. And more than once, I ended up with a book, and of a book of 260 pages, you save two. So the amount of stuff that you put on your trolley is smaller and smaller and smaller. And there are two natural reactions to that. One, you feel scammed. Secondly, you feel stupid because you bought the book, and so at the end of the day, you went for that. And third one, you feel like you are part of an entire ecosystem working on feeding all these money machine. So, what's my takeaway on this conversation? Is actually the time that you're investing on reading all this stuff giving you something back? This one is the main question and the main topic of this video. So I don't want to follow the same path on explaining how bad and how is working the social engineering behind, because you can see on that video that I flagged before. But on my video, I want to talk on what's the problem in general. We are investing time for personal growth, but at the end, we are wasting that time. We are wasting the time because the content isn't tailored on the country where we live. I see books still pushing on real estates and other stuff, but we all check the years of those books, and actually we know that after there was an entire recession on real estate. So it's not personal development also only about your personal growth. It's also about money. It's also about fitness. It's about you can group up all this topic on the desire that you are having to get better on something. The problem is we are not acquiring skill. We are in. we are fitted with strategies, and strategies are good because are theoric, and so you'll see if that strategy work way later. And that isn't good at all, because if you stack the amount of time on reading this stuff, okay, you can use Audible book, doesn't matter, it doesn't change. You still wasted sometimes, because I'm sure I'm not the only one closing a book and thinking I could have been spending this time a bit better, because you are trapped into a good intro on the topic. You think it will take a unique direction, but it doesn't. It's anyway repacking stuff that you already read. And so what I'm trying to say is try to rethink the way how you elaborate all this information. And something that worked for me, I'm more interested on read the autobiography of somebody that is aligned with my value, because most of these people you don't know who actually they are in their own private life, and you don't know their ethics, you don't know nothing about it. And so you can understand that some are actually people with degree on psychology. Don't take me wrong, I'm not pigeonholing everything in one shot, but I'm saying that if you start to select stuff, you'll see that there is a lot of rubbish. And the time that you spend is time that you are action faking. That is one concept that in the video that I mentioned is talking about, but it's actually even worse than what he's talking about. Action faking is not just to buy the book, it's also the time that you spend on reading, the time that you spend in thinking to adapt it to your life, the time that you spend experimenting if it's actually working. All this time could have been for staying with your family, learn a new skill, add something to your CV, learn a language, something more tangible. And so all these strategy are good, but are theoretical, are not customized. Most of these books are about the US. If you live in Europe, it's not much relevant in terms of market. If you want to be an entrepreneur in US, it's different than in Europe. You have a language barrier, you have a completely different kind of customer expectation. It's culturally different between north, south. It's another theory, another strategy. You should have your own, but your strategy need to be based on skills. And read all this approach is too much on thinking what to do instead of actually do stuff. And so welcome the fitness hype. Everybody is more healthy. I'm not saying that in somehow all this personal growth movement didn't generate something positive along the way, but it did a lot of damage too. People reading all the time about success of somebody else is not focus on what could go wrong. And if you're practical about a business, practical about your saving, practical about your life, you need to actually don't see only the positive side, because the evaluation is not based only on positive vibe. You need to be realistic. It needs to be tangible, the result and what you bring. It's true, you'll find all video, you need to take a risk. It's okay. It depends which type of risk. And all these books have to be filtered, adapted to your brain, to your life, to your value, and you need to elaborate it. All time that could be better invested most of the time. I look at my bookshelf and I think that half is rubbish. I look at the Kindle, doesn't change. The fact that it's not in the bookshelf doesn't matter. I do believe that the trend in topics, also from an algorithm perspective, it's quite easy to be forecasted. You always have an antagonist. It's like the muscle. You have one muscle working and the antagonist muscle working too. If these are, you have a topic, you are interested in understanding why it's good, but you are interested in why it's bad. And so the amount of time scale over and over and over because you are an independent thinker. You want to know both sides of a story. And if you exercise, you you embrace that. And also the way how you embrace all this theory, but is how you practice this theory in the real life. Is it okay for your investment? Is it okay for your time of the market? Most of his books were written not even at the same time, not even thinking about the pandemic. And I do see too many thinking about how cool it is to know, to read, to do. Okay, but count how much you are pushing yourself also in terms of performance. I spent a lot of time on how to read faster because faster it is. And later on, I discovered that there was a website doing the summary of all of these books. And I say, that is even smarter. It's extremely fast because if I like it, at least the structure, I can buy it. And it saved me tons of time. So I don't want to mention any of these websites because my target is not to sponsor somebody else's material, somebody else's website. There is no referral. You see that I'm really having a small audience too. But the message that I want to try to pass is if you are so independent thinker, think on skills. Don't think on strategy because the strategy need to be flexible. And if you adopt all these strategy model, is going to remove your flexibility. Uh, it's not it's not just about book choice. It's about lifestyle choice as well. You'll you have a rent, you feel guilty because you have a rent, you don't have a house. You have a house, you feel guilty because you have to spend money on it. It's a continuous stress also to balance all this information. And it's funny when you see all these rich people don't want but doesn't want to have any kind of choices, even the color of a t-shirt, and they get just the same suit or the same t-shirt, a cluster of those. It's actually what we should also do to free up our time. If you spend 6 hours for a book and of an entire book you took 2 pages, that time is just wasted. We need to think about these numbers. We are doing the fortune of somebody else instead of working on our own. Because with the skills, you can actually produce money. With books, it's right. Economy has to be circular, but it's not so smart. Also, all these reference to other style in terms of way of life. Meditation is personal. Everybody does have fitness is personal. Everybody does have a completely different kind of body. Everything needs to be adapted. And also all this book, psychology is something that is always a mix. If you take the profiling, for example, the famous profiling by colors or personality, you'll find out that at the end you don't match just one. You match multiple of these colors. And it's not because you are so rare, it's just because it's normal. You can't pigeonhole everybody. And your fear, your experience, are based on your life. And so actually I think these books, if they are honest, should show also how to make it flexible, the thinking. Stated that you need to perform all the time something. You'd be better to manage the exception. When you do a program and you are programming, you need to think about exception. Life has to be thinking about exception too. all these books are trying to create a structure that is valid, is a thinking structure. But most are missing completely the point that you need black box thinking. Something happen badly, you need to learn the lesson learned. But this loop need to be integrated in all these kind of philosophies. So nothing. I don't want to bother you anymore. I just wanted to structure this conversation on think how you spend all this time to grow, because at the end it has to be practical. It's like fitness. If you spend all the time with a program and later on you get injured, what's the benefit? If you spend all the time feeling miserable because you read something and anyway it doesn't work to your life and it's not adaptable, what's the point? Skills are becoming part of your toolbox. So at the end, probably something that create that good vibe around. I hope I passed a good message. I don't know. Feel free to post, give me your opinion. I want to get out a bit on of this structure of only speaking about expat, because at the end of expat life is life. And if there is somebody that is challenged to grow, to adapt, is actually the expat. So personal growth was a big chunk of my last 15 years. So it's not because I read X amount of books. It's not that I just rant, but it's true that we don't realize how much all these trends are fashion as well. And we can't live with fashion because you don't want as individual to be labeled. You don't want to be fashionable just for the sake to be fashionable. You want to choose what you like. And these general terms of books are also designed sometimes to fit a bit everybody. And that is the smartness on social engineering. And so I am guilty to have been spending too much on personal growth, and later on, if I try to measure that growth, an investment on taking a nice book on languages was probably way better. Nothing. Comment below, subscribe for new content, and whenever I'm here to chit chat. Okay, take it easy. Thanks a lot for your time. Take care.